Some stories don't begin with thunder. Some begin with a whisper. Not the kind that echoes in halls of power, but the kind that trembles from tired lips beneath flickering lantern light in a forgotten corner of the world. This is one of those stories. It was a quiet Thursday evening in Oyo, a small town nestled between the ancient hills of southwestern Nigeria. The sun, a melting orange, spilled its last light over rooftops of rusted tin and broken brick. Heat clung to the air like a memory that refused to leave. At the very edge of town, almost leaning into the bush, stood a crooked little shack made from salvaged wood and worn-out dreams. It had no signboard, no fancy name. Just the smell of warm rice and a soft humming voice behind the counter. Her name was Ebele. She was 27, petite, brown-skinned, always in worn clothes and with a scarf loosely tied over her head. If you walked past her, you might not notice her. But if you ever looked into her eyes, really looked, you'd see oceans there. Ebele wasn't rich. In fact, she was barely surviving. By day, she cleaned bathrooms in one of the city's glass office towers. By night, she ran this food shack, not for money, but to feed people the world had forgotten. She moved quietly, almost ghost-like, among a crowd that barely made noise. Children with missing limbs, elderly men with shaking hands, young boys with burned scars, girls too shy to lift their heads. To the rest of the world, they were invisible. But to Ebele, they were family. She knew their names, their stories, what spices they liked in their rice. And she fed them, every single one, for free. That evening, her hands trembled from exhaustion as she bent down beside a wheelchair where a paralyzed boy waited. His eyes twitched at the corners, mouth unable to form words, but Ebele smiled at him like he was the king of the world. She wiped his chin gently with a soft cloth, said something only he seemed to understand, then fed him, one slow spoonful at a time. Her shoes were wet from spilled soup. Her knees ached, but her soul, it felt full. She didn't know it yet, but someone was watching. Across the street, in the shadows between broken streetlights and the faint hum of traffic, sat a matte black Mercedes-Benz SUV. Inside, behind tinted glass, sat a man whose name opened bank vaults and silenced boardrooms. Mr. Adewale Olakunle. Billionaire, industrialist, feared, admired, hated, envied. But tonight none of that mattered. Because tonight he wasn't watching a market. He was watching her. He had returned from London 3 days ago. No press release, no entourage, just silence. He'd come back tired, not in body, but in something deeper. That silent fatigue that no luxury can fix. It wasn't business that brought him here. It was a memory. His mother once told him, "If ever your heart feels hollow, find a place where people give with nothing left to give. That's where life begins again." And so he did. He didn't know her name. Not yet. But something about her, that fragile power, unsettled him. Something cracked in his chest. The next morning, Ebele mopped the marble floors of the office building where Mr. Adewale's company kept its HQ. She worked on the 17th floor, just past the glass conference room with chrome chairs and leather scent. She never looked up. Her back was sore. Her hands were raw. Her shoes were falling apart. He passed her in the hallway. He paused, just for a second. And in that second, he noticed the band-aids on her fingers, the threadbare hem of her blouse, and the faint scent of palm oil that clung to her skin, the kind that reminded him of Sunday afternoons from his childhood. She didn't lift her eyes. He said nothing. But inside him, a storm began to rise. A week later, Ebele came to her food shack and found a white envelope on the rickety table. No name, no sender, no logo. Just her name written in black ink. Inside, a letter. "You feed the world, but who feeds you? Come to the company rooftop, 8 p.m. A." She read it 3 times. Her hands shook. Her heart pounded. She thought it was a prank. But when the clock struck 8, she climbed the stairs of that building. She'd never gone above floor 17 before. Her ears popped. Her breath was shallow. And then, the rooftop. There he stood, Adewale. Not in a suit, but in a plain shirt and jeans beside a small candlelit table. No cameras, no wine. Just jollof rice and fried plantain, the kind she served every night. He nodded to her. I've watched you feed broken souls, and while no one fed yours. She stood frozen. Why do you do it? He asked. She trembled. Because no one did it for me, when I was one of them. He didn't speak for a long time, just stared at the sky. Then quietly, let me help you help more. I'm not asking for charity, she said. He smiled. Neither am I. I'm asking for partnership. Weeks passed. Her shack became a foundation. It bore her name, Ebele Foundation, with mobile kitchens, volunteer nurses, therapists, a children's garden, and even solar panels donated by the company. But with the growth came whispers. The billionaire and the poor janitor? Impossible. Improper. But Ebele didn't care. He showed up every weekend, not as a savior, but as a servant. He cooked. He laughed with children. He painted murals with his sleeves rolled up. And Ebele? She learned to trust again. Slowly. One afternoon, she found him fixing a broken wheel on a boy's chair. You could be on a yacht, she said. He looked up. And miss this? It was a rainy afternoon. Under the old baobab tree where she had once fed a blind girl her first hot meal, Ebele stood in the drizzle, remembering the past. She didn't hear him approach. He knelt down slowly, pulled out a small velvet box. You healed what my money never could, he whispered. She didn't cry because of the proposal. She cried because for the first time in her life, someone truly saw her, not the janitor, not the poor girl, not the charity worker, but Ebele. They married quietly, no media. Just friends, the children, and the street musicians who once played outside her shack. And above the entrance of the new building that housed a school, a clinic, and 3 hot kitchens, was a banner. What Ebele Foundation, where kindness begins. Sometimes the richest souls are those with nothing to give but everything to share. And the coldest hearts, they just need one spark to come alive.